Hello everyone, and welcome to The Single Parent, brought to you by Christ Our Shepherd Ministries, where we're bringing you real solutions to today's single parent. My name is Jennifer Dow, and today I want to thank Parents-Jamison and Tull for joining us. And today we are talking about mortgages and buying houses and real estate and all of that stuff. And I have to be honest, I don't know much about it, but you guys know lots about it. In fact, you have been in the business for 22 years. And you're a realtor, is that right?
Yes, I am.
And you've been in the business for 22 years, and you have been in the business for 32 years, and you are a mortgage broker,
right?
Correct? Okay.
Right.
And so let's start with Canty. Tell us a little bit about why you're here and why you're passionate about what you do, and why people need to know about it.
Well, I think that what you're doing for single parents is so wonderful, and some people seem to struggle when they're trying to go through this process, and part of the reason that I love what I do is because we are there to help people. We're there to help people get homes, which is one of the biggest decisions that you can ever make in your life. I mean, it affects the quality of your life, and it just drives me to do it. I've loved it. I've loved it ever since my father, who was a realtor. I brought up watching him do what he did and putting people in homes, and how he made such great friends. And I wanted to be involved in the same thing, but my passion was more for the mathematical part of it. But you still get to develop relationships, so it makes it really fun.
Very cool. And how about you?
Well, I didn't know your dad was a realtor.
He was.
Now I know why I like you. But you know, I think out there right now, if you look at a home has a story. It has a story, not just one that you have as you grow up with it and you experience it and you share with it. Each and every home tells a story when you walk into it. And I'm an advertising guy. I have a background in advertising, and I love advertising. So I like telling stories, and every house has a story. So as every family brings their story to the home story, matching those two things together is what makes me get out of bed in the morning. So the excitement around that, and today in this market where there's other stories out there which aren't so positive, matching those two things together I think makes a really big difference, and it really puts a light in my life. So.
That's awesome. Well, obviously this is The Single Parent, so we're going to be talking about how specifically buying a home and the whole process involved, it is special for the single parent, and maybe some special tidbits of information that we can give for the single parent. So why don't we start out by just taking a walk through the process. Say I've decided I want to buy a home. I made the decision. What do I do next? What do I need to look out for? I mean, there's so many questions we could ask. Why don't we just start with you? Where do we start?
Well, I think that's probably the more appropriate place to start, because realtors don't know where to take people unless they know that a person is qualified for a particular amount. So I just think it's so critical to find a mortgage broker, or what I call myself as a mortgage consultant, who will sit down and find out what your situation is. What are you looking for? What do you need? What is going to make a difference in your life, so that we can design a plan. And we'll come up with price, we'll come up with loan amounts, we'll come up with whatever we need to try to get you what you want. So the mortgage consultant is the first place to start. Now, getting a good one is what's critical. You've got to find somebody you trust. You've got, there have been so many things out there, so many rumors, and I won't even say rumors. There are some people that have not been good in the mortgage business. But I think when you find the right one, it is so critical, because they can actually make such a difference to the entire process.
So what do you look for when you're looking for the right one? Because like myself, I don't know much about a mortgage broker, so I wouldn't even know what to look for, or when I could say I was confident that this is someone. I would just say, oh, I like her, or I like him.
Well, and a part of it is liking somebody. You're going through such a big decision in your life. You need to make it with somebody that A, is qualified, but somebody that you like, and you also need to deal with somebody that you trust. I mean, this is, although as a mortgage broker we don't have the same fiduciary responsibilities to the client as the realtor does, I treat it like we do. You know, I'm very, very careful to make sure that I don't do anything that is going to put my clients in harm's way.
Right.
And I also try to put them in a situation where I think it can help them build some wealth,
Okay.
as opposed to tear it down.
Oh, well,
I mean, that's, you know, that's what we say is we help families structure mortgages to build wealth, and it doesn't matter where they start. You know, it's just, we just try to put them in the right spot.
right. Well, speaking of the whole wealth topic, you said something about you got to find out how much you qualify for and that sort of thing. So how do you find out how much you qualify for? But also, if your credit's not good, the issues surrounding that topic, how do we deal with those things? Because if your credit isn't good, can it still even be an attainable goal? Where do you go from there?
Okay, the first thing when I have a conversation with a client is I just ask appropriate questions. We need, in order to find out, first of all, we'll talk about the income debt piece, you know, because that's what helps, and actually the assets to close. What monies do they have that they might want to use for closing? We figure all that out. What's your income, what's your debt, what's your money situation, and we come up with an amount that they can qualify for based on the answers to their questions. We also ask, what's your credit like? And if they want us to, we run a credit report. Credit scores are so ultimately important to what you can do with a mortgage loan this day and time, and what your price or your rate is going to be, because your credit score does affect it. Now, coming back to the credit issue though, if you don't have perfect credit, it does not mean that you are disqualified from buying a house. It does not. There's some people that don't have perfect credit we can put in right away because everything matches and they're ready to go. If they don't have perfect credit, they may not get the best rate, but they can still move forward. Some people whose credit may be a little bit worse, then what we do is we don't like to say no. We like to say when.
Yeah.
And so if the answer happens to be no, it's not really a no answer, it's a let's develop a plan. Let's sit down and decide what we need to do so that in a certain period of time, whether it's 6 months or a year, we can get you in something.
Okay.
And also, we do have companies that we can hire to work with a client to try to help build it a little bit faster.
Okay. So, well, that makes a lot of sense. So even if somebody doesn't qualify for a loan, or even if they do qualify for the loan, but the interest rate is just too high to make it a smart financial decision, you can then make an action plan to say, okay, I'm going to do this first and next first.
Absolutely.
You said there's companies that you can work with. I also know that there's different groups through churches and other credit counseling agencies everywhere. Now, just be careful. Anyone who charges for credit counseling, you do not want to go to. That is a free thing. That should be a free thing. And so you can seek those out as well. Okay.
Well, one thing I will add to that is that before you do anything, before you make any decisions to go anywhere,
Right.
you need to make sure that you talk to somebody that can consult you.
Right.
Because there are certain things that might keep you from being able to do something. If you deal with certain credit counselors, it might hinder your ability to get a mortgage.
Okay.
So you don't want to make a
first find a
decision about
broker or
anything
consultant.
until you
Yep.
talk to somebody that will work with you to put you in a position to buy.
Okay, great. Great advice. Okay, so now that we have found ourselves a broker or consultant and we've dealt with finding out our credit, what we can qualify for, what do we do next?
Woohoo! It's my turn. It's time to talk to someone that can help you really isolate that challenge.
Okay.
There's some really good tools out there right now. I think right now, statistically, just so you know, 82% of the homes that are found in the marketplace are found on the internet.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, so it's a great tool. There are tools available. I remember years and years ago you had a real big thick book and you had to do what a friend of mine calls hauling and hoping, riding and showing, which means you never know where you're going to end up. You never knew what the condition of the house was. You really didn't have the amount of data that we have now. I mean, look at what happens when you buy a car. When you buy a car now, you can get on the internet, you can find out what the dealer's paid, what his invoice is, what incentives they have,